If you can't tell, I'm very excited about this coffee. It's really good. If you haven't tried it yet, I feel like you should try it. And either it's with me or somebody else, because they for sure sell to other roasters or whatever, but try it. I think it's a great, affordable way to get your hands and taste that sort of geisha-like quality that everybody's like, ooh, all crazy about. But it's really just, I think, you know, being at my state, in my level right now, it's just very reminiscent of something very expensive but being very affordable. And I think for a roaster, that's like the dopest thing ever, because I'm always trying to just get my hands on the best that I can get my hands on, right? And it isn't always about just like chasing something for the brand. And I am not a brand chaser. I am not a hype beast. I hate that stuff. In fact, I'm looking for the real deal. What's in front of me? What am I tasting? What am I seeing and experiencing and all that stuff? What is the relationship with this sort of coffee and with the farmer? And not based upon brand and origin. Again, I don't chase origin, I chase flavor. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Okay, so very good coffee, if you couldn't already tell. So now I'm going to take this time to answer some questions, and I'll pull those up right now. I'm not a hype beast, but I'm hyped. I'm hyped on this coffee. It's so good. And I'm relieved because this one, okay, I forgot to tell you. This one right here, you can't see, it's off camera, but the first one that I tasted had a shorter mid-phase. When I become a better roaster and I master my mid-phase and I can control it perfectly in any situation, that's going to taste even better. It already tastes good. It already tastes good, right? That's such a cool thing. It's like, oh, it gives me a lot of margin of error because the coffee is so good. All right. And then the second one, I had a longer mid phase, about like 3 minutes something. Just going to drink it. And it's just that much more deeper. I feel like if you master your mid phase, your flavors get deeper and deeper and deeper. If you don't, it's kind of shallow. You're like, oh, I taste some notes of that, but there's no layers and there's no depth to the flavor there. And I think, to me, in my mind, and how I'm like trying to like correlate things and make things kind of like click, click, click in my brain, I feel like that's what needs to happen. I need to elongate my mid phase or have control of my mid phase and know when to elongate and shorten it so that I can control what flavors I want to bring out, right, as a roaster. Okay. How do you decide how much development time you want to use for a roast when you're using, say, medium roast or a light medium roast, or a dark medium roast, or full city plus, or? Good question. Okay. When I get an order, for example, you guys can actually choose light, medium, or dark, whatever. And I'll put in my sort of like preference in there. So like, for example, with Brazil, I don't think it's good as a light roast. So I kind of pigeonhole you into say, hey, you want a full city or you want a full city plus or a dark roast, right? And so you could choose from those three. So if it's full city for a specific coffee, depending on the coffee too, I'm typically going for, and I hate saying the number now because I just gave you that whole spiel about numbers. But I'm generally looking at a 23 to 25 to 27 development time at the end of the roast. And that is prefaced with, having a good first and second phase of the whole roast. I know that's kind of like a blanket statement, but that's what I do, okay? So for a dark roast, darker roasts are kind of like trickier for me, and I'm still like trying to find my standard, but my current standard right now is I go for a certain percentage. I know I'm gonna go past like 27% into like 30%, but I'm also looking at the color, and it has to look a certain dark color. And I have something in my mind, and like from what I've seen, and like, you know, I have this really good example here too. Like this is Mill City Roasters dark roast. And so when I look at this, I'm trying to have this sort of color in my mind. I don't know if that's focusing for you, but right there was validated by Jared, saying like color is the most important versus temperature or time. Color. That's why they have those color meters, you know, that you could put some ground coffee in a color meter and you can check via a number there, but that color meter is checking the color, right, as light, medium, or dark. And ideally, if you really wanted to know, that's what you would get. You would get that expensive ass tool and check the color of the coffee. But I have like an idea in my mind what I feel is dark, which is subjective, okay? It's subjective, so you develop your own dark or your own medium color, and I would go based on that. How do you make your decision on charge temperature for a particular coffee bean? I go off of what profile is it going to be? Is it going to be light, medium, or dark? And then I look at the size of the bean, where it's coming from. So say if it's a high elevation coffee from Africa, I feel like I'm going to need more energy. I'm going to be upwards into 380 charge for me, maybe 390, something like that, something kind of high. And then if we're going like something medium elevation, like say 1600, 1500, something like that, maybe it's going to be around 370, 375, something like that. If it's a low elevation coffee, which is like, I say 1,000 meters elevation, or maybe like 800, 900, like that, then I would say I would start at like 350 Fahrenheit. That's all Fahrenheit. I heard you mention in a past video that beans were mottled. The tone of the color is not uniform. I'm looking for a uniform color. I'm not looking for some black and then not black, but like darker and some lighter. That's what we would call mottled. It's not uniform in color. That means that the heat application was not consistent from the inside of the bean to the outside of the bean. It wasn't consistent. There were some hot spots, and so you have this sort of mottled color. It's not uniform. I think for me, and how to avoid that is to lower the charge temperature and then adjust the rest of your roast. But I think from the get, lowering the charge and not having the drum be so hot for that coffee, maybe the coffee just, it can't take that much heat, so it starts to look all wonky and stuff. So it's not roasting evenly, basically. I'll cut this up for you since I talked a lot, and then I'll just share it with you on Instagram. And those questions were from Michael Bratton. Thank you, Michael, for your questions. And for saying such nice good morning messages on IG. I appreciate that. Okay, next question is from Andre. How to successfully get all the fruit notes from a natural green. I do get some fruity notes, but would like to have more. What's the best way to get that? So let's assume that you're roasting this coffee. It's a natural, and you know on their cupping notes that they say super fruity. It's got pineapple and strawberry and raspberry and all this stuff, but maybe you're only getting like a plum, like a soft plum note or something like that. You feel like it's too soft. If that's the case, I would look at your mid-phase and see what's going on over there. Since I don't have any of that information, it's hard for me to tell. But I would start there. I'd be like, if I'm not getting certain fruit notes, I feel like I probably either have too short of a mid-phase, like say it's underdeveloped, right? And I'm getting maybe some like staler notes, or just notes that are not popping like fruit notes do, right? So maybe you're getting like some more like earthy sort of notes or something like that. And that means underdeveloped, which means most likely your mid-phase is too short, right? And we're not getting a proper development of heating up the bean from the inside to the outside of the bean consistently, right? So I would look at that. I would look at your mid-phase, because I have that problem too on some of my roasts, where and how I would go about fixing that would be to, I think, lower the charge. So maybe I'm cooking the outside too fast compared to the inside, It's so hard to give you advice. And so just, I would take a look at the mid phase and maybe try to elongate that more. Okay. And then in the finish, kind of see what your end temperature is, and make sure you don't roast out all of that nuance. So for example, say your mid phase is a solid 3 minutes 30, or 4 minutes is ideal, right? I think in most coffee cases. In a natural, it's going to be tough because it's a natural. Naturals are kind of tougher to roast because they take on heat a lot more easier, so it's a little bit more volatile in the drum and stuff like that. So when you drop the coffee, you may have to drop it earlier than, say, a 2-minute post first crack finish. Maybe you have to drop it at like 145 to maintain and keep those fruity notes, because maybe they're just getting roasted out when you finish the coffee, right? So a lot of stuff is happening towards the end of the roast. This is what I learned from Steve. And if you can make some adjustment there without like changing your whole game plan, maybe you can just make an adjustment there. When are you dropping this coffee? Maybe it's just too hot. Maybe you're just roasting it a little too long. I don't know. I don't know what your roast curve looks like. I don't know how long your mid phase is. So the advice given to me was start there at the end of the roast, right? And then kind of like, if you have to, work your way back and then change your whole game plan, which is, and this is what's hard for, I think, a coffee roaster, is like a lot of people have their different perspectives on how to address certain issues or problem in a roast, like where they start, what they change. If you're new like me, like try them all to just see what works for you, okay? And then don't hate on anybody who's just trying to help you, okay? We're just trying to help you. So I'm sorry if my answer is not going to like solve all your problems, but we shouldn't expect that anyway, okay? We got to put in the work. We can't be lazy. Put in the work. Have this new hypothesis. Test it. Roast, right? Cup it. Taste it. And then adjust. That's my answer to your cue. Again, thank you, Andre, for your question. I think that's a great question. We all have that question. And again, I'll cut this up for you and I'll place it in Instagram so you can find it easy. That was a lot of talking. I'm going to chop this stuff up because it's way too long. And I hope you guys will give this Ecuador green a good shot. I feel like this green is amazing. You should taste it wherever you can taste it. Super juicy. Got a lot of good body. Balanced coffee. Tasty. Like this video if you did. Subscribe to this channel for more content like this. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.